Hello, and welcome to another episode of 60 Minutes With. I'm your host, Crystal Petry, and wherever you are, whatever you're doing, subscribe to my podcast right now. On this week's episode of 60 Minutes With, I will be visiting with Leah Hall. She is going to educate me and educate you on the importance of having business systems, how this will make your business flow smoothly and how it will increase your customer experience. So, welcome to the podcast, Leah. How are you?
I am good. Thank you so much for having me. I'm really excited about this opportunity.
Thank you. Thank you so much for agreeing to do the podcast. You are in Arizona. You were talking about it's storming out there. So, if we hear some thunder or lightning, we know that's where it is, what it
Yeah,
is.
exactly. We have this beautiful rainstorm right now, so um, it's amazing.
I
it's
love the way you phrase that, a beautiful rainstorm. I like it.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Now, so in my intro, I was talking about business systems.
Mhm.
Most people probably don't even know what that is. They know what the word business and maybe systems are, but put together, they do not know what that is. So please explain to myself and my audience what is business system.
Business systems, for the way that I like to define it, is a really strategic plan and
Okay.
execution for both your business processes and your client experience. And so, by having your systems in place, you're able to move from your marketing efforts into your fulfillment efforts of execution without delay or without minimal, delay, and being able to mitigate any issues or concerns that come up or that will delay you being successful in your business.
And why is this important to have business systems in place?
So I think of it as a good recipe, right? So oftentimes I will remind customer or clients that if you're making a cake and you put all of your ingredients in the pan and you put the pan in the oven and then you come back 5 minutes later and you're like, oh my goodness, I forgot the eggs. And you pull the cake out and you decide to put the eggs in, your cake is not going to be okay. And so it's like that with your systems. It's a better process if you plan it out, start to finish, or at least bullet point where you would like to take your business and or your client experience. That way you can see, am I missing any of my main ingredients that are going to make this cake or this product the best possible product that I can put out there.
How did you get into this career space of business systems?
Oh my goodness, everything has a home. Everything has a system. And if you are not in control, or not even so much control, if you are not aware of how you are showing up or how you're being presented, then it's a reflection clearly on you. And so for me, being in business, working in corporate, working in the private sector, and then also being a business owner, and then just being a person of um, wanting to put the best product out there and wanting my work to be a good reflection of myself, I developed processes and systems to make sure that I was able to duplicate my process, duplicate my efforts, and the success that I was having with clients by developing out systems and processes. And then that way, you're not working harder, you're working a lot smarter and smoother. And then you can develop that into a leaner process. So that your clients can get to their goals a lot faster than you fumbling as a service provider and them fumbling as a client. So that's where that came from.
How does business systems, and I'll start prefacing that by saying good business systems.
Mm.
How does good business systems get your clients in the door?
Well, I think it goes back to the process, like your business process and or business model. So you can have systems in place, but if you don't have a business model, so like we can have a CRM, we can have an email marketing tool like Flowdesk, we can have um, some type of metrics tracking system. We can have all of those things. But if our business models aren't in place, then we just have a bunch of systems that we're telling, either spending money on, we're trying to understand, or we're trying to get our teams to understand. And we're just only doing part of the pie instead of actually having our business model and our systems working together. So ideally, your systems should be promoting your products and services along the way and helping you to get that information out, get your clients into your, I'm not a fan of the word funnel, but into um, your client experience, like into the experience that you're providing for them, and then being able to get all those milestones and touch points completed so that you can fulfill your product or your service.
One of the things that you stated, you said CRM, which is an acronym. What does that mean? CRM.
Client Client relationship management tool. So it's a process. So like I'm a huge fan of Airtable, and so it's a process, excuse me, it's a database or some type of management tool where you're able to keep track of information. And so when you are working with clients, when you're taking income in, it's really good to have some type of tracking system so you know what the client has purchased, what the deliverables are, if there's any hiccups. And so it's just a system or database where you're able to keep track of your information and your clients.
Give me some examples and give my audience some examples of business systems that we probably are familiar with, but maybe just didn't know that's what it was.
Okay, so I can give you a truly basic one because sometimes people are afraid to spend money on their business. And so Google Workspace, you can ideally get it started for $6, $12, and I think $18 per month. There is, say your database was going to be Excel. So your Google, excuse me, yeah, Google, it's not Excel, Google Spreadsheets, which is equivalent to Excel in Microsoft. So you could, if you need it, you could use that as a database hub. You have your Google Docs, which is equivalent to Google Word, which you could create your documents, SOPs, your course documents, all of those types of things. And then there's Google Form, which is another area where it feeds into Google Spreadsheets. I want to say Excel, and it's not. Google Spreadsheets as part of keeping kind of like a database or building a database. So that could be a really simple workspace or data CRM to start with until someone felt comfortable spending the money and or putting the time in to learn technology to build out their business in that way.
In those business systems, Google Ad Space. No, Google Ad, what was it?
Google Workspace.
Google Workspace. What information would we need to put into that to capture the data that we're looking for?
So it depends. That's why we go back to your client experience. So before anyone is launching, I would recommend like they just take out some sticky notes or pen to paper, or they pull up a Google Doc or something of that, your notes, whatever it is, and you write out your process. You write out how you want to market your business, where do you want to market, how often. Once a person, say they see your post, they click on your link, or they use mini chats right now, and they get into your space on the internet, and they get into your system, what is the next step? And so based on that, then you define, okay, if I'm going to be asking them for their email, how am I going to collect that? Then once I collect it, where am I going to house it? So if you're doing a social media post and you're saying, if you want this free resource, click this link above, they click that link. Maybe it's a Google form, maybe it's a Flowdesk landing page. So they click on that, you now have their email account, and then where are we housing that? Is it going into a Google spreadsheet, or are we actually housing it in an email marketing tool or resource?
So I understand the importance of having good business systems in place, but how does having those good business systems help you acquire money, help you get sales, help you get leads for your business?
So if you do not have your systems in place, or at least a process, you can, there are people who make a lot of money and they're not spending a lot of money on their processes or their systems. They have the basic, what we call lean systems and processes. With that in place, it's really about how you're organized and what that client experience is. So they all work together. Your business model, your business model, I'm sorry, my son just came out. So your business model, your client experience, and then your systems. They all work together.
What let me see here. Okay. When is
Sorry about that.
no, you're fine.
Yeah, sorry, buddy. You just wet me. That's
Sorry, this is what happens when you have children.
It is. It is.
And they're
Trust
on
me,
spring
I am
break.
not
And they can
bothered.
stay outside. So I'm sorry.
That's okay. Okay, so I'll ask this question. You have your company.
Uh-huh.
When should you create your business systems? Is it before, during, after? What is that timeline?
Well, most people feel like if they have, um, let's say they have an email, be it even a at Gmail, or they have a handle, and your handle is like your at, mine is at leahhall.co, or they have a logo. They went on Canva and they created a logo and they're like, I have a business. No, you have parts of the pie, of the puzzle. But in order to actually have a business and have it organized and structured and put it into a good position where you can make money, you will have to have a business model. You'll have to have um, your client experience outlined, and you'll have to have your systems in place. So if you don't have systems, you can have a really good ebook that you're selling for $10. How are we going to market it? Where are we going? How are people going to purchase it? And then how are you actually collecting money? And then how are you receiving that money and or finding out who's purchased it? Are you sending it? Is it a digital download, or is it a physical product that you then need to mail? So without your systems in place, you can have brilliant products and services, but how are you delivering those? And then how are your ideal clients receiving what they've purchased and or what they're interested in?
Is it more expensive because, especially when you're just starting out, you're just starting your business, a small business, everything is expensive. Is it more expensive to have a business system, or it's more expensive not to have it?
It's more expensive not to have it. Think of it as your taxes. If you're not organized with your taxes at the end of the year, what are you doing? You're scrambling, you're not wasting time. You're taking up a lot of time to get it organized. You're looking for receipts, you're going through your email, you are logging into maybe courses or services that maybe have the emails in there. You're going into your Stripe. When you are not organized and you do not have your business systems working as a benefit for you, then you're going to lose time in your ability to make money. You're going to lose time in just time in overall, because you are using that time instead of working in selling your products and service. You're now searching for receipts and searching to get your taxes and whatnot in order. So with your processes and your systems, if you have it organized and structured, then it will help you. You're in a better position. Let me put it that way. You're in a better position to make money. If not, then you're going to spend a lot of time, and time is our greatest currency, not money. Um, Trying to locate clients, trying to filter them through, trying to, oh, wait, somebody purchased something, but I don't remember what they purchased. Or, oh, I wrote my new client's name on a sticky note. Oh, okay, when is their start date? So not having your systems and processes in place really does hurt you.
Speaking of time being the most important commodity, is it time consuming to create a business system? And is that something you need to continuously do? So I set up my Google Workspace, like you were talking about earlier, and I do that. Is it time consuming to set up a business system? And should I always be working on my business system?
No, you should not always be working put it this way, it's your business is a relationship that you have with it, right? Like a lot of times I think people take themselves as the business. No, you are the CEO of your business. And so with any relationship, there's always going to be a change. There's always going to be developments. There's always going to be, here, let's sit down and have a conversation with our business. Let's look at our numbers. Let's look at what's working, what is not working. And I think that is a monthly conversation to have, or a monthly review to have with yourself, with your business, to see, is this working, is it not working? If something is not working, or if you feel as though you're not getting the results that you desire, that is definitely a good opportunity to check in and say, okay, what is working in this business? What can I adjust? What part of my system is either a bottleneck or it's flowing really well? And whatever that is, figure out why it's working or why it's not working, and then duplicate that.
How do we know what or which business systems? I'm not sure which word we want to use here, what or which. How do we know which business systems to use? And the way I'm seeing it in my brain is I'm thinking of like, you receive the email, you send out maybe some kind of follow-up automated service, or a follow-up automated text message, or something like that.
Mm-hmm.
How do you know which business systems you need and which ones to use?
Okay, great question. So a lot of clients come to me because they have that question, like, I don't know what to do, or I'm making money, but I'm working harder to deliver, or I feel like I'm losing money because I'm not seeing someone sent me an email, or I'm not seeing a DM, or I'm not seeing that someone purchased and the purchase didn't go through, or we have abandoned carts, whatever those things are. I have a framework where when I meet with clients, I literally go through each part of the framework to edit, to review where they currently are, to edit where they are, and then to execute a better plan.
Mhm.
And so with that, it helps to identify what systems are ideal. There are some people that live by Asana, right? They live by Asana.
Is that a business system?
Asana is it's a it can be a CRM. It's also like a team management, business processes, like your day-to-day systems, like your check-ins, your to-do list, those types of things. Some people live by ClickUp. ClickUp is that same way as well, where you can go in and you can speak to your team. You can find out what tasks are needed, what tasks are completed. You can talk to your team. You can outline what your week of social media is, or your upcoming meetings, those types of things. It's usually CEO with their team, CEO with their assistants, like being able to communicate and work together. So you have people, just think of it as vehicles. Like you have some people who are all Chevy, some people who are all Ford, depending on the particular client, their client experience, their business model, the level of service that they are providing, right? So like if you were providing digital products, you may not need to spend a lot of money on systems and processes where you just have a basic, here's my credit card, here's your download, right? You don't have, here's my credit card, okay, now you're an official client, I need to send you an onboarding set of emails, which is called a trigger or an automation. And then I need to send you a welcome box, and I need to invite you to this and that and that, and send you a calendar. So there's all these different touch points with an elevated experience for your clients, versus just here's my money and send me my $13 download via email. And then after that, if I want to work with you again, I can either go back to your Instagram or email or YouTube or whatever the case is. So it really just does depend on the client, their products and services, their client experience, and what level or elevation of that experience they want to show to their clients.
Is it ever too late to create and formulate business systems?
No, it's never too late. Never too late. That's the beauty of the business that we are in. That's the beauty of being an entrepreneur, and being a creative, right? Just taking agency and ownership of your brand. You have the ability to adjust, to say no, to say yes, and to develop whatever you want into whatever you want.
Can a can a business survive and on the back end of that thrive? So increase in sales, increase in leads without a business system?
They can. Um, More, I think, is do they want to?
Okay.
Right? It's kind of like having a really nice car. You have a really nice product or service. You know how to get from your home to the store. You know how to find clients and deliver your product, but your tires are flat, right? And so there's all these slow moving pieces. You're not able to go as fast because you are still piecing it all together, or you're trying to pump air in your tires and, oh, it's going down again. Let me pull over and air this back up. Instead, when you have your systems and processes in place, you're able to have a smoother ride and not focus so much attention on, oh, did I deliver this product versus, oh, it's delivered and this client is happy. Now, how am I worried about getting their testimonial versus delivering the product or service?
Testimonials, is that something you would need a business system to acquire?
You could. It's more about, it's going to be part of your process, maybe even part of your SOP, your onboarding, offboarding, that type of thing. There are some online coaches who do the initial um, onboarding call and ask all these questions to see where their client is starting. Then they might do a milestone 1 month in, another one 3 months in, and then part of the offboarding is show or tell us what your experience has been like, how it was transformational, how you grew, how you made money, all of those different things. So it really just depends on, again, the business model, the product, the service, the client experience. There are some clients that I just enjoy all of my clients, and I send them a loom and say, would you like to respond? And then they respond to the loom, and we have that testimonial, and we're done with that. It's not a long process. It doesn't have to be cumbersome, but it just depends on what the process is for your brand.
What is a loom?
Loom is a, how do I want to say this? It is a web-based platform. So it's LOOM. We also have Zoom, which is, our friend from the pandemic.
Mhm.
But Loom is an easier way to make videos, to do recordings, to do how-tos, to do touch points, and then to easily share them out via a link.
Oh, wow. Okay, I've never heard of that before.
Oh my goodness, yes. Loom is one of the best tools out there.
How many customers do you think you should have in order to create your business systems? Should you have
Zero.
one customer? You said zero?
Zero.
Okay, explain.
You have to know what you're delivering.
Hmm.
Like, your systems is a reflection of your confidence in your business.
Okay.
Your expertise as a service provider or product provider, it is a reflection of your brand. And again, it's either you can show up and have a really good client experience that's streamlined, that's answering all the FAQs or the frequently asked questions or the potential questions that come up. It's a roadmap, it's a guide to what the client is to expect. Um, it's kind of like when you go, if you think about it, when you go to a restaurant and they greet you, they bring you out a menu, right? They bring you out a menu. What is that menu? That is one of the first parts in their process, in their client experience. And so they're giving you the ability to look on their program, look on their menu. Sometimes they have pictures to give you an additional expectation of what your food should look like when it comes to the table. So when we do our social media post, when we go live, when we do YouTube, when we share about who we are as a brand owner and our products and services, we are advertising, we are sharing in the same way that restaurants do with their menus of what's available. Now, as a consumer, based on what we see, oh, I want this particular meal. It looks delicious. It has all the ingredients that I want. Your products and service, oh, I need this from the service provider because I need to develop X, Y, and Z. And so being able to identify all of that prior to having a client is beneficial. The chef is not going to prepare or create a meal, not unless you have a private chef, of course, create or prepare a meal after you've arrived at the restaurant and you're seated, and then they're going to come out and say, well, what would you like to eat today? And you make it off the top of your head, right? They already have something prepared and outlined, and they've already prepped for it in the kitchen. So in your business, you're already prepping for it by having your processes and client experience so that you know what to do. And it's easier for your client to move through that process and to get what they actually are giving you money for.
How long have you been working in this space of creating business systems for companies?
I feel like I think it's kind of like one of those things you always do and you don't realize, like, oh, I'm a strategist. I'm someone who can put a plan together, or if someone has a problem, I'm able to solve it. And so I think when I started my business, or prior to starting my business, it was like, okay, I've been able to do this for corporate and all these other people. And I was in corporate for 10 years and then in the private sector. And so being able to take what I learned both on the job as a person, like having your own standards, right?
Yeah.
And in levels of integrity on how you're going to show up in this world and present yourself and represent whomever you believe in. Then from there, and then like my educational pursuit. So it's been a very long time. It's been a very long time. I think a lot of that just is who you are as a person also reflects in your business. Sometimes in how you show up and how you organize it. So it's been years upon years.
Okay, at this point in your journey in this career space, what would you say is your personal intention with helping companies and helping businesses create their business systems?
My my purpose in life
Hmm.
is to help other women make money
Okay.
and to develop a really good plan for their time and money freedom. And so that is my focus and my purpose. And I'm able to do it through strategy, through branding, and through being a creative. Yeah.
So, a couple follow-up questions to that. Number one, you said helping women. So, I would love for you to explain why helping women is so important to you. And the second follow-up question is you want to give them money freedom.
Mhm.
Explain what that is and how that looks.
Oh my goodness. Okay, great question. Love this one. Okay, so I have two littles, and childcare. My goodness, that is like,
Very expensive.
it's very expensive. It's you have to work in order to have a family. Like you have to
Yeah.
work in order to, like, have someone watch your child. And that was a huge concern and problem for us. And when I left my job after 10 years of being stressed out, overlooked, underappreciated, overwhelmed. I literally passed out in an executive meeting, and I slid out of my chair, ended up on the ground, and when I woke up, the paramedics were there, went to the hospital in the ambulance, spent 3 days in the hospital, and I remember looking over at my spouse and seeing our infant daughter. He was holding our infant daughter, and our toddler son was in the seat next to him. And I'm like, Lord, there has to be more. Like, this isn't my purpose. This isn't like what I want. Like, I don't want to be going to work 8-10 hours a day and someone else raising my children and all those things. And so once I came home, I took time to heal, and loving my children, being around my children was part of that healing process. And so I became a stay-at-home mother. And then I said, you know what? There are other women who are like me, um, who need help. Like they're brilliant, brilliant souls, but maybe no one's told them, no one's reminded them, no one's encouraged them, no one's lit that fire, helped to give them the match to light that fire and say you can do it. And so that was part of my initial plan is I want to be able to take all the things that I know, regardless if I'm solid in them or not. Maybe I don't even have enough confidence to say I can do this all the way. But I'm at least going to try. And in trying, I was able to start my business and help women do it. And that was in 2018. I officially started my business. And then in 2019, Honeybook and the High Tide, I hope I'm saying this right, Society. I feel like I'm not. They were watching, and that's another thing people should remember is that people are always watching. And so they had nominated me to be one of 20 people in the marketing expert category to be selected as a marketing expert for 2019. I had no idea they were even watching. And so that was really big for me. And so that's how I started my business. And then what was the second part of your question?
You said to give them financial freedom, money freedom. So explain what that is and how that looks.
It looks like the ability to own their own agency, an agency of person, right? Not agency and like I'm a marketing agency, but agency taking control of what they want to do in life, how they want to do it, and whom they want to serve. Because I think sometimes when you're in corporate and even in our own personal businesses, we might get clients who they start out really well, but then sometimes when money comes into it, they feel like they own you because they've paid you or whatever. So being able to set themselves up to build legacy, to meet and reach their own goals. Maybe they want to take one vacation a year, right? Some of us aren't taking any.
Yes.
And so that time and money freedom is just being able to take one vacation a year with their family and have those pictures and those memories that they want, not the pictures and memories of here, I'm dropping my child off at daycare and I'll pick you up when the sun goes down. So it really is the time, money freedom, the mental freedom, right? So you're not so stressed because you have a supervisor who doesn't want you in your position, but also needs you in your position because maybe they're not so qualified in their role.
Right.
And so it really is, it's just that everything that I went through in business and life, I was like, oh, I don't want this. And I'm pretty sure there's two other women in this big wide world
At
who don't
least.
want it either. Right. And so that's what that looks like. It looks like taking what their brilliance is, their goals, their desires, and putting it into a strategic plan, identifying their business model, identifying their branding, and then what is the execution of that along with their client experience.
Wow. I feel sold. I feel sold.
And you didn't even buy a car, right?
Yes. Wow. And I feel seen. I feel heard. I feel validated. Like everything you said is so like intimate and personal to me. And I'm sure one or two women that's listening,
Right?
same thing.
One or two are out there.
One or two out there. Oh my goodness. Okay, Leah, explain to us the difference between business systems and business processes because I feel like they're the same, but really they're not.
Right. So your business processes, let's say that's your ingredients, right? Here's my process.
Okay.
And so in order to market my business, I need to identify my brand pillars, identify my content, identify my platforms, identify when, how, where, what hashtags, what SEO rich words I'm going to use. And then your business system would be how am I actually executing this? So now that I have all my ingredients and they're all mixed, do I just leave it on the counter and hope for the best? Or am I actually putting it into an oven? Am I actually putting it into the world? Am I actually, now that I'm executing it, I put my social media post out with a CTA or a call to action that says, DM me, put this word in the comments, click the link in the box, whatever those, email me, whatever those CTAs are. Now that that's part of my system, once they or what that's part of my process, once they do that and they follow through on that CTA, now they're going to be in my system some type of way, right? So they've now clicked on my buy button and they've purchased my $3 download. Now what happens? So that's your system. Your process is defining what you're going to do, how you're going to do it, those ingredients of your business, and then the systems help to deliver what you're creating within your process. I hope that was clear.
Yes, that was.
Okay,
Absolutely. I completely see. So basically, the business processes are your ingredients.
Yeah, I mean they're going to be your process for
Yeah.
okay, you're a brilliant soul. Now what? Right?
Yes.
You're not just going to, hey, I'm here, send me money. Well, what is the process? Like what do you offer me? What do you provide to me? And so it really is organizing. That's what I'm saying before you even start with one client, right? have that organized. Maybe like when I started, I was doing, my Lord, I was doing like a website, full branding, meeting with clients every Monday, like every week for like $500 for the entire process. And I think that was for 6 months, right? Like I was literally begging people, hey, can I get that $100? And I was like, wait, I wasn't feeling secure in myself because I was no longer in corporate. And I feel like when you're in corporate, you almost have, you're trained a certain way, right? You know what you're doing. You have a safety net of a check to fall back.
Yes, yes.
When you are your own check, maybe you can get a little rattled. Maybe you're a little nervous. Like you do feel alone in entrepreneurship. And so that was it. Like if I didn't have my systems and processes in place, then I would have never known, oh my goodness, I'm doing all this work for $100 a week or $100 a month at that time, right? But now because I had my framework and my process and my systems, I know like, oh, well, I need to charge this much in order to make this much and see the ROI on the work and time and energy that I'm putting into this. And the client is receiving this. So it really does go back to your process, which helps define your business model, helps define your pricing, helps define your client experience and your systems.
Let me pivot just a moment from the topic of our podcast, which is business systems and understanding that. You spoke about that initially you were charging $500 to do all of this work, and then you were like, okay, this is not enough for all the work that I'm giving. I'm not charging enough. And I feel like, and I'm sure you know where I'm going with this, how do you know as a entrepreneur, as a solopreneur, how much you are worth, what your value is?
Well, that's the thing. Your value is not in what you're pricing, right?
Okay.
It is not. Danielle Leslie is one of like the most creative souls that I know, and she was my actual very first coach that I invested in, and her product is literally, I think it's under 2,000. It might be more now, but she's not worth 2,000. Her value is not 2,000, right? It is her position, right? It is her business model of, here, this is what I'm going to, this is my process to get you to what your end goal is of being able to create a course and to deliver that. But even in that $2,000, she's building a community. She's giving us support. She's giving us different resources. She's giving us different opportunities to work with her. So how you're pricing your services and your products, it really is dependent upon what are your goals. Like this is how people make their money, by saying my goal is to make 10K per month. In order for me to do that, I need to sell how many products or services, and which means I need to market or get in front of how many people, right? And out of those people, if this many, so it's all about numbers,
Mm-hmm.
right? It's about numbers, it's about being confident, and it is about your pricing and your structure. You do not have to start out at $500. Maybe you're kind of like, let me test the water, let me do 250, right? And you get out there and you sell five of your products. Okay, now raise your pricing. And that's part of what I do in my VIP days, is I help clients really see their own brilliance and to develop out their strategy and their confidence in that. And I'm not saying that these women do not have confidence, but sometimes you need to say, oh no, ma'am, you're gorgeous. You can do this. You can show up. You're brilliant. Even if you had a faceless account, your brain is so beautiful. It will do the work for you. Right. And so sometimes in community, we get that. And so that's part of the process, is being able to price out based on their services. And if they're not able to do it on their own and they're still charging pesos on the dollar, reach out to me. I'm always willing to put a comma and a zero in your product or service.
Yes. And as my audience is listening, I want you to know that towards the end of the podcast, Leah is going to give out all of her contact information so you can reach out to her. And if you just need her to tell you that you are beautiful and that you are worth it, she will do that, and also add a zero and a comma.
Yes, I will do that. I'm people know, they come to me and they're like, hey, Leah, what do you think about this pricing? And I was like, for who? Where are we going with this? Like, we're doing Starbucks twice a week with this, or what is the goal? Because no, women, and that's the thing. Women are so. I think you asked the question earlier, and I didn't answer it. In regards to time and money freedom, right? Mm-hmm. When women make money, what we invested, what do? We invested in our family, we invested in ourselves, we invested in our community, we invested in our church, we invested. And so when we make money, we change the community around us. Yes. And that is the beauty in it. It's like, we're not just going to hoard this money. And even if you do, it's your prerogative, right? As Tabitha Brown says, that's your business. You can do that. But most of the time we are investing in. And so that is the beauty in what I want and help other women do, is to build out their legacy in the way that they choose to, not what they're told to.
Right. There are 4 pillars to business systems. Can you explain to us what those are, please?
Well, I feel like, is this a question, or did you see somewhere where there was 4
yes.
pillars to the system? Okay, where did you see this?
Google.com.
Okay. Well, yes. First off, Google might be, there's a lot of bro marketing out there. Okay. So I will say that.
Okay.
LinkedIn, let me just use an example. LinkedIn a few years ago, it was not inviting and or welcoming to people for as myself. I'll just speak for myself. I didn't feel welcome
on LinkedIn.
LinkedIn, yeah, I didn't, years ago, when they first started doing these creative accounts where you can go live on there. Mm-hmm. I didn't feel like I was their ideal client. Let me put it that way, right? Okay. So wherever the systems and processes, the four parts of the system, I don't know who created that or what they're saying are the 4 pillars, but based on what my framework is, my particular framework walks women through a 3-part by a 3-part. And so we go through, where are they at currently, right? Where do we need to shift and adjust? And then how are we going to execute even better than what you currently have? So everyone has their frameworks, everyone has these systems, but unless I've seen it, I won't be able to speak to it. But there's always, systems is one of those things where you are not going, it's like I'm gonna go back to the vehicle. You are not going to put a 20-inch rim on like your little Toyota, you know what I mean? Like, or the 24s and the spinners. There's not enough wheel gap in there so that when you turn, you're not scratching the front of it. So what is the system there? We need to actually measure your tire, get you the proper rim and all those different things. So it really just depends on what they're saying. Do you mind sharing what the pillars were that they mentioned?
You know what? I'd have to look it up. And what I'll do is I'll put the 4 pillars in the description box whenever I post our interview, so that my audience can read that and see that as well.
Okay, perfect. And then I can recommend a few books that are really good, regardless of what business you're in, that help you start to define your systems and your processes. I believe there's one that's like, what is it called? It's something about the perfect assistant, or creating that relationship that you want with your assistant. Because a lot of times people hire assistants and they just feel like, here, come save my life. And it's not that way. You need to train your assistant and your team, your family member, like mine. They know when I'm on a Zoom or a call, they shouldn't be having parties in the background, but they still have them. Right? So it's like, that's part of our system. That's part of our process. But you have to train people in your brand, in your business, in your process and systems so that they know.
Okay. Yeah. How does systems and building systems build trust?
That is a great question. Have you ever worked with someone and you could tell that they were fumbling? Or they were like, you ask them a question and they're just like, oh, I can do this, the sky is blue and da-da-da. And you're like, no, but that's not what, that is not going to leave you feeling like, oh, I want to put more money into her business and into her brand. And so when you build the know, like, and trust, you're building that by showing up, by being an expert in your field, by having products and services that speak to your audience. So just how you were saying earlier, that you feel heard, that you feel seen, that you feel all these different things. I have done my research on my ideal client. I have built out my avatars. Her name is Celeste. She is gorgeous. I've been able to create all these different things about her because I've researched and worked with my ideal audience and community. And so it's that same way. If you build the know, like, and trust, then people will feel more confident working with you, seeing your content. They're going to want to engage with it more. And then also with your products and services, they won't feel like, oh, do I need to pay her the $7? Right? That $7 and like, oh, take my. There was a company. I was like, just keep my card on file. Right? Don't even send me an email. Just send me the products. Like whatever it is, I know it's going to help my business.
Yes.
And I literally was like, I don't even care. Whatever it is, I will find the money for it, because their brilliance was like, oh, I need that. I don't even care if I need it or not. It was the fact that their brains put it together. And I knew down the line it was going to help me. And that's what having processes and systems in place and a core strong brand and foundation will do for you. And I know that was long, but yes, that was a great question as well.
That was a great answer, because I feel like I haven't had a lot of those experiences, but I have had a few experiences where I'm like, here, just take my money, just take my card, just take my cash. Everything about your company and business is amazing. Just take. And I feel like that's what we all want, that are in business, solopreneurs, entrepreneurs, whatever. We all want our customers and the customer experience to walk away from us saying, just keep my card, just take my money. I don't care, just take it. Like, that's what we all want. That's the goal.
That also builds your referral system. So once one client is like, oh my God, Leah did this, right? Crystal did this for me. Going on her podcast really opened the door. All those beautiful things that people say, and or even if they're a little starchy in business and they're just very much like, I can't crack a smile because that will show I'm human. They still might enjoy the product or service. Like it moved the needle for them in some type of way. What are they going to do as soon as someone else is telling them? Because the online space, although it's online, it's still pretty small, right? You still kind of know everyone. Everyone's in the same circles. We're all moving and rotating, or whatever the case is. And so once you know that someone is good at one thing, then you know that you're going to share it with someone else. Like there is someone who does, her name is, I love her. I'm just going to say it, Nicole Barham. She does 5-Minute Bookkeeper, which is about your business taxes and business organization throughout the year. And she is phenomenal. Like my tax preparer literally sent me an email. Was like, Leah, your tax, whatever he said, he was like, it's excellent. And I was like, it's excellent? Like, who puts those words together?
Yes.
It was literally her date. It was her process and her system that helped me to feel confident and being like, here's my taxes, like here's my business information. And then for him to come back and was like, it was excellent. It was like, okay, now what am I doing? I'm sharing with you and your audience. Go Google her. 5-Minute Bookkeeper. Tell her Leah sent you. Right? It's that amazing of a product and a system and a service that I feel like, okay, yeah, let me share that. And it's all because she has it in place, not because she's like, oh, hold on, let me send you this link.
That is amazing. So everyone that's listening, if you're watching, go and Google 5-Minute Bookkeeper. I know that I am. As soon as I get off of here.
I will also send you a link for her as well.
Perfect. And I'll put that in the description box below as well, so that everyone will have easy access to it. Look, the system, the process and the system right there.
Exactly. I'm so excited to use her product. I know that it works. I know that it streamlines it. I know that it takes something as overwhelming, consuming all the things that give you like beads of sweat on your mind, on your forehead, and she makes it easy for you. She cleans it up. She explains it. She clarifies, and she gives me a system to use.
Wow. Does business systems help you stay more consistent in your company, and how?
It does. So again, having a framework
Mhm.
Having a repeatable process or a scalable process will allow you
Okay.
to work with more people. So think of service providers who have a program or a course. They're not shifting that course for every single client that comes in, right? What they're doing is they're making it evergreen. And making it evergreen is because they've identified their process and their systems. And by doing so, they're able to make money in their sleep because now it's evergreen. It's on Pinterest, it's on Facebook, it's on Instagram. It's an ad, it's a Pinterest ad. So someone can click it in the middle of the night, pay the $22 or $297, purchase their product, get in there, and now they have a repeatable process that's going to help build their know, like, and trust, get a new client, and help that client reach their goal.
Does having systems, we've talked about how they help expand and give you time freedom, add money to your pocket, but does it help you see errors within your business?
The bottlenecks, yes, it does. It helps you to see, okay, this client, there's so many, that question is really good. It's loaded in the sense that there's so many intricate dings and alerts that can go off in that. But when you have your process in place or your systems in place, say you're having a team meeting and you want to know, how are we doing in quarter two in comparison to quarter one? Is someone going to pull out a sticky note and be
Mhm.
like, oh, here's not a sticky note, a legal pad, and say, oh, here's how many clients, hold on, let me hook out my calculator and tabulate this, right? Or they're going to go into Airtable, pull it up, or Kajabi or Kartra, pull it up and say, this is how many clients we had in our income or our ROI in, it's not ROI, there's another word. I should know this, especially using Nicole's product. I should know this. Profit. What is our profit, right? For Q1 in comparison to Q2. And if it's not matching up, if we're not exceeding Q1, which is the goal, then where are we missing? Oh, well, we had 10 clients in Q1 and we only have 5 in Q2 so far, right? But having
Okay.
that system or those processes in place gives us the ability, sorry, my son, sorry, y'all, has the ability to go back and to be able to track where you need to enhance, increase, or shift in your business.
Okay. How do you know if your systems are successful?
Ideally, you should have KPIs. And I feel like
And what's KPIs?
I'm trying to remember. Sometimes you use all these acronyms and you have to remember. KPIs is
Isn't it
pretty,
key performance
yeah,
indexes?
indicators. It's pretty much identifying um let's say you have a team, you have a social media manager, and she's also doing your blogs, and you want her to do 5 blogs a month. So the KPI of success is that she has 5. And then you can do what is best, what is it? Good, better, best, right? Good is 5. Say you do better would be 8, and then your best would be to do 10. So based on the KPIs, are we meeting any of those? How do we even get to good, right? Or do we even satisfy the first milestone of having the 5? And so that's identifying, where are we moving the needle? Are we growing, or did she only do 3? And if she only did 3, let's have a conversation. It's not pointing fingers, it's a conversation. How can we support you reach that goal of 5? What hindered you from reaching that milestone or that goal? As a team, right? As a brand, as a business, whatever, coming together and identifying, okay, how do we continue to grow? What system or process do we need in place to help each person reach their particular goal? Now, it's not just, you're not hiring someone and training them and holding their hand, but you are supporting your team and making sure that everyone is working well to move the needle forward.
Because if they're successful, you are
Mhm,
successful.
mhm. And that's the definition of that. It's not always money. It's not always money, right? Sometimes when we work on teams, think about working in corporate. If you dredge getting up and getting in your car and going to work and da da da, as a person, like, are you feeling fulfilled? Are you accomplishing anything? And just like with our small businesses, how are we doing that collectively? How are we impacting the people around us? Maybe that's not important to them. Maybe it is. Who knows? But how are we connecting with our own team members to help them individually, which will help them in their homes and help them if they have children or whatever relationships around them. Because we never know what people are going through, and so it's all connected, right? And part of your systems or processes. Are we celebrating our teams? How are we onboarding them? How are we highlighting wins for them? How are we caring for them? Say they have a death in the family or they're not feeling well, so it's all part of it.
As we get ready to wrap up this podcast, Leah Hall, you have been amazing and have really explained business systems to me in a way I can like visually see it and understand it. So thank you so much for that. And
Sorry.
the one or two women that are listening,
No, yeah.
watching the podcast, they want to get in touch with you. They want you to help build their business systems and in turn help build their business, because that's basically what happens. How can they do that? How can they get in touch with you?
The easiest way is to go to my website, and it's Leah Hall, LeahHall.co, no N. And on my website, you can see the offers that I have. You can click the link at the top and schedule a call with me. And I am more than happy to speak with you, to walk you through this process. I do VIP days, I do half VIP days, I do like Voxer VIPs where it's a little easier and you don't so much have to sit on a Zoom call. But ideally, if you want your brand, your business model, you want your money to increase, you want your stress to decrease, you want to enhance how you're showing up in the marketplace and identify your ideal clients, then I would love the opportunity to work with you. Love, love, love.
And Miss Leah Hall, give us that website one more time. Then I'll ask my final question.
Sure. Leah Hall, LeahHall.co. And then you can go on my website and find my information there. Right now, my Instagram and my website is probably the easiest way. Just book a call and we can go from there.
Okay, excellent. Again, thank you so much for being on the podcast and contributing to my podcast. I appreciate you so much.
Of course. Thank you for having me.
Yes. My final question for you, Leah, is who do you think would make a great guest on the podcast, but you have to help me get them on?
Oh my goodness, where should I start? There are so many. I'm a believer that like I don't believe in that crab in the bucket mentality where you're like they're pulling each other down. Like there are so many beautiful and brilliant minds around us. I have such a list. So Nicole Barham would be one. JJ Braggs would be another. There are, my goodness, you want me to just send you an email of like 10 people? Because
yes. Yes.
I will
yes,
do it. I will do it. There are and that's the thing. So many people, so many women sometimes feel like, oh, I can't be on a podcast. I don't know, but they do. Their own area of expertise is what someone else needs. And that's part of why I love what I do, because what they are really good at or what they know, like there are some women who know they can take 5 ingredients and just cook their hearts out, right? And then there's some of us who are like, why can't we just get pizza, right? And maybe that's not our calling, but if we're working in it, then we have the ability to support and help other people. And so yes, I will get my list together and send it to you, because there are so many amazing women. Yeah.
Yay, Leah's gonna keep the podcast in business.
Oh my goodness, yes. Yes.
Thank you again so much for sitting down and sharing your time and your treasure with us. I appreciate it.
Oh, I'm so happy we were able to connect.
Yeah. And thank you all for listening and watching this podcast. You can get this podcast and all of my other podcasts on YouTube Podcasts and Apple Podcasts. And remember, you always have time to listen and learn on the go.